We are smiling this morning because I think there is hope kind of coming out of this, and I think there are some good things to focus on, some important things to focus on as families here in our community. This was right in the backyard.
Absolutely.
But first, Doctor, I want to tell us a little bit about yourself because this is your passion from what we understand.
Yes. As you stated, I am Dr. Carlia East. I am the owner and operator of the Sapphire Woman organization, which focuses on empowering women to reclaim their power, embrace their truth, and design their destiny. And housed underneath that is Smile Counseling Services. I have been a clinical psychotherapist for over 17 years now, and also working within institutions such as St. Petersburg College, where I work now as a college professor. I get both an inside and outside glimpse as to what our students and our parents are dealing with when they're coming up against different traumas, different traumas that happen on our campuses, because it's something that doesn't just attack only our little ones, and those families. It's a trickle effect to humanity, and we all feel a sense of compassion and sadness and sometimes rage when it comes to these types of incidences.
And when you've already said that you do work with kids and have worked with kids in the past, when something like this happens, I know some parents try to shield their kids away from the news.
Right.
Others have them watch the news, and when something like this happens, how do you talk about it? I mean, what do parents need to keep in mind, because it's such a tough situation for everybody?
Well, the key for parents is actually acknowledging that something did happen. When we deny it, that teaches our children to live in fear, and that's the opposite of what we want them to do. We want them to live in the now. And we want them also to recognize that in light of these dark spaces, there still is rebirth and hope that comes out of it. And so my advice for parents, first of all, is to acknowledge the incident that takes place. Be mindful of the news channels that your child is watching, because sometimes you'll get more traumatic, footage or, incorrect information. And so we need to kind of monitor those, but allow the kid to watch those, but sit there with your child so that you're having teachable moments of discussion. We also want to make sure that our children have the opportunity to express whatever they're feeling. I call them daily checkups. So you check in with your kid every day, and what I would recommend for parents to do is sandwich the conversation. So start with something positive that happened to them that day, because you want to keep the children focused on the fact that we are a society where happy things do happen and good things do happen. And so you allow them to express the positive, and then you talk about maybe something troubling that they're facing, and then you sandwich that with something positive. You've addressed it with your child so that they know the warning signs, or they know the behaviors that you would like for them to display, but you also haven't left them with that last negative, impression of what society is. You left them with something positive.
Do you have any advice? I feel like, I know when my brother was younger, it was troubling to get him to talk.
Right.
Students a lot of times don't want to talk. They
That's
don't want to go, and they don't want to talk with their parents.
Yes.
How do you get kids and students to open up a little bit?
Well, I think one of the main things is to address the student where they are. So if you have a child that is more inclined to write poetry, or more inclined to write music or art or sketch, allow them to express their emotions through those artistic means. It still is their voice, but sometimes it's difficult for a child to speak it out, but it's easier for them to act it out or talk it out or draw it out. And then the second thing that you want to do is keep your child in a routine. So you don't want to change the rhythm of what they do every single day. We thrive on rhythm, we thrive on consistency, and children need to have that bounce back so that they know there is consistency. And then I would say definitely for the parents to tap into their own emotional strengths and make sure that they're having a girlfriend or guy friend that they can vent to and express to their child that these are some scary things. However, mom feels scary, dad feels scared sometimes, but we're going to persevere through it because that's what we do. And just teaching our children compassion, across the board on both sides of the table, because, a lot of children that act in these ways are troubled themselves. And so we want to keep that communication open for our children as well.
As we wrap up here, when do you know to maybe have your kid go see a counselor or a professional when maybe mom and dad can't do it themselves?
If you feel like you're just hitting a stumbling block where you can see it in your children's eyes that there's something going on they're not quite speaking on, that might be that parent instinct, that might be a red flag. If your child decides not to engage in the extracurricular activities they were engaging in, they tend to close down a little bit more than you're used to, not wanting to be a part of family or extracurricular activities, that's definitely a time. But have that conversation with your child. Hey, guess what? I think there'll be a really cool person for you to talk to, like Dr. East. Let's have you come on in and allow me to meet with your child, just one-on-one, a 5-minute conversation, just to get a good vibe from them. That way they're a part of that decision-making process too.
Dr. East, thank you.
I know.
Thank you
so much. We appreciate your time this morning. We'll have to have you back on a variety of other topics.
Absolutely. Absolutely. More than happy to.
Stay right there. We'll be right back.